Welcome to this episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd. Today we have with us Kelly Holt from the Keller Public Library. Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming along. So, public libraries, those are still a thing. Somebody told me they're actually, hang on. Public libraries, they're still, do we have to whisper? Do we have to whisper because we're talking about libraries, or can we talk in a normal tone of voice?
Well, I'm not sure. Actually, our first question, Kelly, which is a bit unusual. I'm sure you've never been asked this before, but a lot of our guests who come into the studio, who we interview, normally bring us free stuff. So I wanted to know, did you steal us any free books?
I did not.
Because I've noticed you didn't bring in any food. So I just kind of...
But everything at the library is always free. So you can drop by anytime. That's how I'm going to get you in the door.
Well, for a short period of time. I can't keep the book forever, can I? Otherwise, I'll get fined.
Well, not at my library. We are a fine-free library.
Fine-free library. So I remember that old Seinfeld episode when Jerry and George, they were trying to return a book or whatever. And I guess Jerry had to write this check for like several $1,000s because he forgot to return a book. And you know, there's always those jokes about that. So now libraries are fine-free. So you put Blockbuster out of business is what you're telling me, right?
Well, a lot of libraries have gone fine-free. It sort of started with just children's cards and children's materials.
Okay.
Libraries didn't want to set up a lot of barriers between kids and reading. So a lot of libraries started to try out a fine-free policy where as long as you bring the book back, and we get the book back, then we don't charge you a fee.
So do you have a library police whenever, the book doesn't return and you've got somebody that goes out there and tries to find that book that never got returned?
We just send a stern email.
Oh, a stern email.
So what percentage of books do you not get back with this new kind of fine-free policy?
We actually don't see any change in the number of books that aren't, because if you bring back, then you get to borrow more.
Yeah.
If you don't bring back the first thing, then you're stuck with it and you never get anything else. So.
You get on the library blacklist.
Well,
right?
Some people only like 2 or 3 books, so I'd imagine they'd get those ones out and you'd never see them again.
I think I've only read 2 or 3 books in my life.
Yeah. And you wrote all 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, I didn't read those books. Those books were terrible.
Now, the one question I did want to ask about that. So if somebody comes in and they want a copy of a book, which your library does have, but somebody else has it out, because you've now got this no fine policy, and they say, oh, when's it going to come back in? You just kind of be like, I don't know, maybe sometime. I don't know, maybe not at all.
Well, our library and a lot of public libraries are part of a consortium, so we never really just have one copy of a book.
Right.
Okay.
So there are always a few copies floating around, and even if our share libraries don't have them, we can pretty much order a book from any library in the country through the interlibrary loan program, and then they send it over through the mail, and then we get them the book that way.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So libraries borrowing from other libraries.
And so if you don't return a book to another library, does that other library fine you?
They find this library.
Oh,
yes, they do.
So there's where the money's being made.
We're willing to take the risk.
So we need to get in the library business and loan books to libraries and then say that they never return the book and just charge them money.
Is this before or after we go to India and start filming Bollywood movies?
They both seem hard. They both seem very hard to
Neither
do.
seems very lucrative either.
Ah.
So I'm not sure about your plan.
Okay. Now, obviously, you're from Texas. I can tell that from the accent. But also because the shepherd told me you two used to go to high school together.
We
We
did.
did, and even junior high.
Junior high. I think
Oh, wow.
even before that.
I actually think
I think maybe even middle school, Bear Creek Intermediate.
Bear
I
Creek?
think that's
But
when we first
what
met.
was your elementary school?
Well, I bounced around
Yeah.
everywhere. When I finally went to public school, after I got out of the reform institutes and everything that my parents put me in, I spent a year at Florence and then a year at what was the...
So 5th grade would be the first time.
Yeah, 5th grade. I can't remember where I went to 4th grade, but I remember it was a brand new elementary school.
Was it Heritage?
Yeah, Heritage.
So that's
Oh,
where I was.
maybe that is where we met then. Was Heritage?
Did you have Mr. Shaw?
I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we were in that class together. Yeah.
All right.
That's where I know.
That's where it was then. So wow.
We were reading together.
Yeah, we've known each other that long. Apparently, you did much better in reading than I did because you're in the book industry, and I'm not even quite sure I know how to read. So there you go.
That is true. That's why I have all the notes.
That's right. And it has nothing to do with your horrible penmanship that I can't read because you write with the incorrect hand.
Well, this is the hand most frequently used by geniuses.
Oh, yeah. In your own little world, right? Okay.
What's your source on that?
The internet.
Because everything on the internet is true.
Right. Well, so we don't need libraries, right?
So what did you do?
We're getting there,
Yes,
Kelly.
I
Don't
know.
jump ahead.
I know
Don't
you're going
jump
to try to
ahead.
get there. I'm not going to let you get there, though.
We're looking forward to that part.
So what did you do before? Have you always been like straight out of college? Do you go to a library?
I actually started working at a library while I was in college. When I was 18, I started working at a library just as a clerk, and I shelved books. I checked people out. I did spend some time teaching as well, and those have been my two sort of career paths.
All right. Because I did actually have a question written down. Are you going to do this for the rest of your life? And at that point, when I wrote that question, I didn't know how old you were. So if you'd have been like 90, that would have been one of the worst questions I've ever asked.
That would have been, not a great question.
Or if she'd have been like 18, and then she said, well, yes, what's wrong with that? Then it would have been very uncomfortable.
It reminds me, actually, a Ricky Gervais sketch on his stand-up. He actually went into a store and was going to buy a newspaper, and the front page article was about this 90-year-old woman who had been slashed across the face by a robber, and the woman behind the counter said, 90 years old, scarred for life. And Ricky Gervais said his friend who was with him was like, well, not really scarred for life, is she? She's 90. And Ricky Gervais goes, I don't know why he said that. And what reaction was he going to expect from the store clerk? Oh, yeah, stuff her.
Terrible.
Now, do you read many books yourself?
I read as many as I can squeeze in, yes. I also listen to books.
Okay, so you're like an Audible fan? or
No, a library. I get my audiobooks from the library.
What, on cassette?
They're free.
Cassette?
On cassette.
Reel to reel?
no.
Reel to reel, yeah.
My preferred format is the portable MP3. So it's a self-contained audiobook. The device is the item, and you just plug your own earphones in them and power them with a battery, and they're about as big as like an iPod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually go in and one book is on one of these little devices, and you check that out, and then when you're done listening, you return that and can grab another one. Right.
And I also use our digital platform to download audiobooks that I could listen to on my phone.
And these are books, by the way, that, are current books. It's not like I know LibriVox is a popular website for anything that's in the public domain, and a lot of people, volunteer to read these books and everything. Like, I've listened to some of the ancient philosophers and things like that, like Plato and stuff like that. You can get those for free, but you're talking about
brand new,
modern stuff that's on there.
High demand titles, absolutely. So the library pays for those.
Wow.
And you borrow them digitally on. There are different platforms. We use two platforms. One's called Hoopla, which has downloadable ebooks, audiobooks, comic books, music, and movies and TV. Wow. And then Overdrive has ebooks and audiobooks. So
and you have to be a member of the library, I'm guessing.
Correct.
At least for that portion to be able to download these.
Yes, that is tied to your library card, and you type in your library card number, and you borrow the books for 21 days, and then they return themselves, so they're never late. They just sort of disappear from your device after the due date.
But if it's digital, and you're lazy like the Wolf and I were lazy, so we get a book that's, say, I don't know, 20 pages. We have 21 days to read it, and then 21 days later we read one page. We can still go and recheck that book out and read another page in the next 21 days.
If no one is waiting for it.
So
if someone is waiting for it.
But if it's a digital item, you can't just check out it.
Unfortunately, no. The way that they're purchased, the lending model only allows for a certain number of listeners at one time. And it also caps the number of listens before you have to pay again.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So we look at things like how much we're paying per listen.
Gotcha.
Which is it varies on how in demand the title is. It can be anywhere from like 60 cents a listen that we pay to maybe at the most $1.50 or $2.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was afraid to ask about ebooks because I thought you might think it was like a dirty word or something.
Oh, no,
Right.
we love ebooks.
Oh, cool. Now, so the ones you have in the library, do they have, if somebody, I don't know, borrows an ebook as such, do they have the DRM kind of copyright on that? So you can only read it for like 20 days and then it...
Yes, so the borrowing, it depends on the publisher, whatever contract the platform, which is Overdrive, has with the publisher dictates how many listens are attached to the book and the lending period.
Yeah, I actually wrote a program about 3 months ago which rips the DRM off of those
Really?
ebooks. Yeah, wow, friend Eric.
All right, I'm not listening to this.
Wanted to ask if I could get hold of a few
This
books.
is unethical.
A few books which had just been released, and I said, but they've got a
we-
countdown, so I just wrote a code to actually...
We do
said
not
we weren't
advocate
going to
this
talk
at the
about
library.
things like that.
Should we not tell her about that we've been illegally downloading MP3s since 1997 either? Or what?
On Napster.
Yeah, we did start off on Napster. But yeah, no, I mean, I will read ebooks. I have a whole collection of apps on my phone, and I will actually read ebooks. It's been a while since I've read a physical book other than with my son.
Right.
And it's, I do like books. I mean, if somebody was going to give me a book for Christmas, I'd definitely prefer, a physical book than somebody just send me an email saying, hey, I've bought this
Book,
ebook
this
for
link.
you. Because that's pointless, because like I said, I can download those myself anyway.
Right.
But I can't download a physical book.
In theory.
So,
in theory.
Well,
not yet.
Yeah,
not till we get that 3D
this,
printer
This is
working.
all theoretical.
When that
we have
3D
never,
printer works?
Yeah, we've
We have a
never
3D
done
printer
it.
too.
You do?
Yes, we do.
Can anyone come in and use it?
Not anyone, but you
Oh.
can sign up for one of our
Well.
classes that will tell you how to use it.
Oh, I know how to use it. I wanted to know if I could come in and use it. I've got some stuff I need to print
Not right now.
anonymously.
You can't. Anonymously.
Right after you pretend to download all this stuff you're not supposed to
right.
do.
But going back to what you were saying about ebooks, and we found that a lot of our users tell us the same thing. Like, physical books are much more popular for children,
Yeah.
and that is actually the majority of our collection is for children at our public library. But a lot of our users tell us that they like the ebooks for when they're traveling because they're light and they don't have to, they're highly portable.
They weigh
Sure.
nothing.
They what? They weigh nothing. Right?
Yeah.
It's correct.
They are light.
Well,
Well, the device that they read them on is light.
Sure. It kind of reminds me, and one thing I wanted to ask you, I was trying to figure out in my mind, and I know we're going to get into this, but, why do we still have public libraries? And it's difficult for somebody my age to think about it. And one thing that I keep leaning towards as well, for the, say, under 13 and over 75 crowd, a public library makes sense. Oh. So as you sit there and as ignorant as I am on this, you've got events for kids, and then you've got cheap old people like my father and my father-in-law that want to go to the library and check out a book rather than, trying to listen to it through Audible or something like that, which now we learned we can actually do that at the public library, which I didn't know.
And it's much cheaper.
So we're learning something like every 45 seconds here, which is, more than I've learned in the last 10 years.
Just ask a librarian.
Yeah, absolutely. But other than, the the audibles that you can get or whatever. If you ran into somebody like me that, you know, I don't really read books. It's hard for me to even listen to a book. What else can I get out of the public life? Oh, look at you already pointing at me.
For you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's something that is a misconception in a lot of communities, is that the library is a place for books.
Right.
And the library has so much more than books.
Okay.
So, for example, I think something that's pretty interesting that's happening right now in libraries is that as we have information readily available and easy to access for a lot of people over the internet, the library is not really a place that people need to go to research anymore.
Sure.
And because it's easy to get books online, it may not be a place where people go to borrow books. But there are still a lot of other things that the library is offering because, number one, we have more shelf space, right? We don't need as many reference books. So one really, I think, fascinating thing that libraries are doing is they're offering libraries of things. So you can check out a guitar and learn how to play the guitar before you invest in this for your child. Like, you don't know if they're really going to like it, so you go check one out. And if they're into it, great, then you can invest in the guitar. If they're not, we have keyboards as well. You can check out coding kits where kids can learn how to program with things like Arduino and Johnny 5 and Raspberry Pi. And you don't have to invest in those yourself. We offer jigsaw puzzles. We have board games, which you can kind of try out and see if they're really fun for your family before you pay $40 to have that board game. We have learning kits for kids that include educational toys. You could check out typewriters. You could check out date night kits that have a set of supplies in a bag. That's like,
and now hang on before we get to that. Notice how she snuck in typewriters.
Yes, you can get it. Not at our library.
You're hearing all these great things about the library and how it's modern, and it's but you can check out a typewriter. Yeah. I haven't seen a typewriter in 30 years.
I have a pink typewriter in my office. And I will tell you, kids find typewriters absolutely fascinating, and they can learn a lot about mechanics from a typewriter. Oh. My daughter was amazed that I could type a letter even if the electricity went out. I would still be able to type a letter.
So you're talking about the old school typewriter. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
They don't even make those anymore.
Yeah. So what do kids think when they first see a typewriter? Because all I can think of is like that. Remember that sign in Zoolander when they say the files are in the computer, and they end up just like banging on it, like chimpanzees, because they can't figure out.
Well,
how to get the files
my daughter
out of the
said,
computer.
"Where's the cord? Where does it plug in?" I said, "Oh, it doesn't plug in. It's just a machine," and she was fascinated. Yeah.
Oh, well, my boy found a VHS tape and brought it to me, and he said, "Where do I plug the headphones in to listen to this?" So I totally get that. They all have that. That's the way they all look at all that old, ancient technology that we had that we all thought was modern.
Well, the library really is a place that collects and organizes information.
Right.
And information is coming to us in so many different forms besides books. So we're collecting and organizing information in all formats.
Now, do you have any hilariously funny stories? You must have, from having worked in the library for that long. There must be something kind of...
we found lots of strange things in the book drop.
Okay.
I'll sort of leave that to your imagination.
Okay. I'm going to guess books.
Yeah.
They found books there. Somebody was actually checking out books from the library and left them in the book drop.
Yeah. Well, we have, let's see, at our library we have about 75,000 books.
Wow.
And about 10,000 video recordings, DVD format and Blu-ray format, and about 6,500 audio book formats. And those are several different formats. We have books on CD, though we no longer actively collect that because that form is becoming obsolete.
Right.
And then we have the portable MP3s that I mentioned earlier as well. And then we have about 1,000 other things. And those would be like the kits I was talking about, the games, the puzzles. We have microscopes. I mean, we have a seed library. So if you're wanting to start a garden, you can come get some free seeds from the library. And then
How do you return the seeds?
You grow the plant, and then you collect the seeds, and then you donate those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
clever.
it's good for like local biodiversity, and it's economical.
Right.
So we have those things for you at the library, but we also have, I noticed that you like beer.
I've never drank a beer in my entire life.
Well,
This is fake news. This is fake news. I have never drank a beer in my entire life.
Well, I'm just waiting.
Excuse me while I drink.
To hear how you can borrow beer, because
Yes.
if you want that returned, you can only be bad.
Well, no. If she explains to us right now where we can somehow borrow beer from the library, we're gonna go ahead and shut the podcast down, and we're gonna break in the library right now.
And then follow that with, I want to know what's in the date night kit.
okay, not beer, but
I think they're missing out.
They're missing out.
Yeah. See.
you cannot borrow beer, but we have had several programs that kind of celebrate local breweries. So we've had like a pub trivia night that we host at a local brewery. We've also had an adult sip and spell, like an adult spelling bee with beer, where we compete. You know,
You mean like a drinking game?
well, it's a spelling bee.
That sounds like the politically correct way of describing
Because
a
I know
drinking game.
the Shepherd and I were playing a drinking game. The first question would be, Shepherd, how do you spell dog? And you'd be like, BMK. Give me my beer.
And we also had Shakespeare in the park, where we had Shakespeare trivia out in the park area, and with beer.
Cool.
Okay.
No, I like that. Now, I know you're curious about this date night kit.
Yeah,
but
I want to know what's in it.
you know what? I'll let you have this one, but I get the next question because I'm afraid I'm going to forget about it because of all this not beer that I'm drinking.
Right. Well, it's a mistake, I think, not putting beer in the date night kit, because
I do too.
Because some of the best dates I've been on weren't dates until beer entered the equation.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
we might be able to teach the librarian something here. She's taught us all this stuff.
Well,
and if she can walk away with one thing,
Yeah.
put some beer in the date night kit.
Yeah.
we do have some legal limitations, but we do have so the date night kits are little vinyl bags, and then they have a set of sort of themed supplies that facilitate a date night. So one is called the Perfect Picnic, and it's a picnic basket.
First date night, or is this kind of like been
I
married
don't
for
know.
20 years date
Yeah.
night?
We
Because
have
those
a
kids are
wide
gonna-
variety.
This could go south in a hurry,
Because
Kelly. We got to be careful here.
20-year date night kit's just going to have a bottle of vodka in there. And that's,
Yeah.
No, you cannot get any of those things at the library. Disclaimer, that is not available. But it has like a picnic basket. It comes in a picnic basket, and then it has like a wine opener and a little Bluetooth speaker, so you can like put your phone to it and then like play romantic music. And then it has like a picnic recipe book, so you can pick up, the supplies to make the perfect picnic. And then it has like some little conversation cards and things like puzzles and games. So they're all different themed. We have like there's the picnic one, and we have the perfect pairing that's like a wine and cheese one, and we have like a French one, and then classic movie night one. All kinds of different things.
Yeah.
It's just like for the lazy guy who wants to,
Which is pretty much every guy.
It's like we plan the date for you, and then you just have to.
So actually, if I was single, this would work out perfect for me because I'm cheap and I'm lazy.
Well, you could take your wife on a date with this kit.
Right, but I get it free from the library.
Right.
So this is right in my wheelhouse.
Right.
I'm loving this.
well, I don't think cheese and wine comes in the bag. I think
No.
you actually have to buy that. It's got a card in there which
It's
says,
just-
go and buy some cheese and wine. You
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's the information. We give you the information.
No.
We can't do the date for you.
Right, okay.
So here's my next question.
Yes.
do public libraries still use the Dewey Decimal System?
Some do. Mine does not.
Oh, I hate the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know
then
who
come to the
Dewey
library.
is. I don't know who he is, but I
His
want
name is Melville Dewey.
Yeah, I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Even if we have to dig him up and catch him.
I hated having to learn that, and I mean, you and I went to school together. We had to learn the Dewey
Yes.
Decimal System. We had the card catalogs, and you pull the little drawers out, and you have to find this goofy way to find a book. It's
That's
like
actually like a librarian drinking game.
Oh,
So, like, you give the
I didn't know about this.
subject-
Tell us about the librarian drinking game.
So you tell me a subject, and then I have to give you the Dewey number for that subject. And if I
Oh,
can't
wow.
do it, then I have to
Now,
drink.
do you know them off by heart?
I know many of them, but we haven't used the Dewey system at my library, and I'm not really in cataloging anymore. But I mean, I may be a little rusty, but I could probably give you a general idea if you wanted to.
Automotive
test me.
mechanics.
629.1.
Psychosocial kinesiology.
I don't know that one.
Oh,
It would be-
you got to drink.
It would be in the 100s, like the
Yeah.
150s. That's as precise as I can get on that one. I'm
Simulation theory.
sorry. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll drink my coffee.
Yeah. So pretty much you want to play this game with me and not him.
Yeah. Now, as we would,
But we don't use Dewey. We use words now.
Okay, so how's
on the
that
label,
work?
On the label, it says science, technology, computers.
Well, yeah, but so if you think about it, traditionally, I'm going into the library. I said, okay, I'm old school. I want to go in the library. I want to go find a book. I'm guessing I don't go to a card catalog anymore. I'm probably going to a computer terminal.
Or to the friendly librarian.
Or
at
the friendly
information desk.
librarian, but let's pretend for a minute that I'm an introvert and I don't want to talk to anybody. I go up to this computer terminal, I search the book that I want, and of course in the old Dewey Decimal System, it's like, oh, it's this, and then you start finding the shelves. How do you find a book now?
Well, it'll say call number, and then it will say science, technology, computers. So you look for the wall sign that says science, and then the shelf edge sign that says computers, and then the individual shelf or technology, and then the individual shelf that says computers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's just a words instead of numbers.
But there is still libraries that
sure.
uses the Dewey Decimal System.
Yes, and I would like to say that some library collections are so large that the level of precision that something like Dewey or Library of Congress would provide is much more appropriate for a collection that large. But we're a smaller library, so
Gotcha.
it's more like a bookstore.
So
model.
do most school libraries, do they adopt the same way you're doing it, or are they still going the whole Dewey
I'm
route?
sorry, I can't say.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not a
because
school
it's top
library.
secret, or you don't know?
No, I just don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those Bilderberg,
The school librarians,
kind of
they don't
meetings
talk to
they
us.
have that they say, "Hey, we don't
Yeah.
want to let the general public know how we organize books."
Yeah, this
That-
is why
that-
they won't let
that's a
us into the book collection at the Vatican.
I never thought about it that way. Yeah, because we've applied like 3 times.
Yeah.
and I
I
always
wouldn't
thought
let you in either.
All under
Yeah.
different names as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the names we used
Were-
were probably
Dead giveaways.
Yeah, a little bit.
Archbishop O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned quizzes earlier, and I did
Oh,
put
no.
together a quiz for you.
Okay.
Normally, I ask the shepherd the questions,
That is true.
but
Thank goodness you are not asking me any of these questions.
well, no, I'm going to
I'd
ask
just
her
like to
first, then I
say
want
I
your
was
opinion.
not
Oh.
told that there would be a test.
Oh, I'm never told either,
Okay.
but he always asks me questions,
Well,
and I think I'm 1 for 145 now.
None.
So
None.
Oh, I'm 0 for
0
145.
for-
Yeah,
All right,
that
well,
sounds
lay it
about
on
right.
me.
Yeah.
Well,
you are going to
yeah.
outdo me on this, Kelly. I can guarantee you.
Well,
that.
actually, I'm going to ask the shepherd the question first because there's no chance it's going to get them right. Then I'm going to ask you because otherwise
Okay.
it's going to ruin the fun if you know all the answers and then he
Okay,
just copies
so
you.
and-
someone needs to look
Right,
yeah,
stupid.
and so this is typically how this goes.
Right.
So
Okay.
here we go.
Okay, question number 1 to the shepherd.
False.
What is the oldest known library in the world?
The Library of Alexandria.
No.
I disagree. I don't believe you.
Or when do you think the Library of Alexandria?
I don't know. Well, ask her
Well,
now.
no, I'm asking you first.
No,
Because
no.
it's the incorrect answer anyway, so you may as well have a rough guess that is also wrong.
I don't know. Maybe the old Jewish library, but I thought it was the Library of Alexandria. But
That's what I thought as well.
Now all of a sudden we had the same answer, but
Right.
but
I write
you
the
make me
questions.
look stupid.
Well, I write the questions,
Okay,
yeah.
well, let's ask Kelly.
Well, I think that it kind of depends on what your definition of a library is or what source you're consulting. I probably would have said Alexandria as well.
Well, apparently, according to the first result I got back from the internet, and I didn't look any further, so this might be absolute bull, is the Library of Ashurbanipal, located in Nineveh in modern-day Iraq. And it's been there since 7 BC.
Wow.
But it might be the one which maybe this still exists, whereas the one in Alexandria doesn't.
Well, once
Right.
again, we'll just chalk that up to our wonderful research team,
Yeah.
which is you when
Yeah.
you're half tired.
I had 8 minutes.
You should
Yeah.
hire a librarian.
Yeah,
Actually, we should,
yeah,
but we can't afford that because we spend all our money on beer.
yeah. And plus, we're saving up for an Xbox Series X, so
Yeah, but
Yeah.
only used.
Well,
though. Used.
most public libraries do have email and phone reference, and you could just email them these questions, and they'd email you back the answer.
yeah. But we're not.
Okay.
We don't really care
Just
about
gonna
it.
throw it out there.
Right, Shepherd. What is the country with the most libraries, and how many exactly are there in that country?
Oh, God, I hate you. I'm gonna go with Italy.
No.
See
I've
how
got
much he loves me?
I've got four countries down here, all with figures, and if you came up with any of these countries, I'd give you half a point.
Oh, okay. So Italy's not even in
No,
one of those. Okay. So since there's 4 countries, I get 4 guesses. So
No, you get-
so Italy, I missed. I'm gonna go with England.
No.
Well, that figures because you're illiterate. I'm gonna go with the United States.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
I would have guessed.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so my 4th guess would be India.
Good guess.
Ah,
So, can you
okay.
Can you
Okay,
guess?
now
I
I
was
helped
gonna
you
guess-
because
yes.
I gave you India and the United States, so you got to
those
guess
were
the
in
other
my,
2.
Those were in my choices as well. I think Italy is too small of a country to have many.
But there's a lot of population in India.
No, Italy.
Oh, Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm stupid.
I was going to guess China
Yes.
and Russia.
Yes, exactly
Yes.
right. So in India, there are 30,000 libraries. In Russia, 46,000. China, 51,000. But in the United States, there are 117,000 institutions that
And,
can be
and
called
Texas
libraries.
has more libraries, of course, than any other state as well.
Well, that's because Texas is the greatest state in the union. But I did read something earlier that Carnegie actually started a lot of the first public libraries.
Andrew Carnegie, yes.
Yes.
He had a program of sort of like grant matching. He pledged large sums of monies to public libraries, but he made municipalities match the contribution so that the communities themselves were invested in the public libraries. So, yes, we do owe a great debt to Andrew Carnegie for his public library support.
Yeah.
Right, question number 3.
Okay.
Shepherd. How many books are there in the Library of Congress?
More than 9.
More than 9 million or just more than 9?
More than 9.
All right.
No. I'm going to say, Library of Congress. Man. 15 million books.
No.
No. Okay.
I really don't have any idea.
Really?
So I'm
Oh,
going
you got to
to,
Have a
guess.
then.
So I'm going to guess.
It's like the Price is Right, but with nothing to win. Go on.
I'm going to guess 2 million.
170 million.
Wow. That's a lot of
So you
books.
both sucked at that one.
Yeah. And Kelly earlier said there's this different deal other than the Dewey Decimal System, and it's probably
Library
because
of
they have
Congress.
like 170 million books because we all.
Yes, and that classification system is very complex. I don't really even understand it.
Okay, Shepard, what is the best-selling book of all time? This should be an easy one.
The Holy Bible.
Yes, and do you know how many copies have been sold since it first hit the printing press?
More than 9.
Yep.
Wow. Are we talking about like Gutenberg time when, that was the first book that
since it was first printed, yeah.
So what? That was 1440, right? When Gutenberg invented the printing press. So we're talking about 1440 on from that. How many copies of the Bible?
Yeah. You're stalling.
Well,
that's a huge number.
it must be. But you know what I wonder? I wonder if it's more than the number of Big Macs that have been sold.
Oh, look at the curveball in the library. Oh, look at you reaching over for your phone now.
Well, I still need your guess first.
I know. It's going to take me a while.
I'm looking forward to finding out which is bigger.
No, that's a great correlation. I'm going to say number of copies of the Holy Bible that have been sold since 1440... Or printed. You didn't say sold. You said printed.
Sold.
1 billion.
Oh, 1 billion. It must be more than that.
No, Kelly, go on.
I would say 100 billion.
Do you know how many people there are in the world?
6 billion.
You think they all have 18 copies each?
But since 1440...
Well, let's be honest. I mean, I probably got 6 or 7 Bibles at my house.
But there are only about 600 people in 1440.
Fair enough.
No, 5 billion have been sold.
5 billion.
5 billion.
How many Big Macs?
550 million.
Oh, okay. So the Bible is way
but good correlation. Good correlation.
That's each year.
Oh, each year. So Big Macs win.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't say. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
find it.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot because.
How many more questions are there?
But
There's
let's
one more question.
Okay,
let's fail at this one.
Right,
next.
but let's be honest. That was a softball question.
Yeah.
What's the second most book? Because the number one, it's obvious it's the Bible. What's the second most book?
Kelly.
I mean, even Kelly, you knew that the Bible was going to be number one.
Yeah, the Bible. That was pretty easy. I mean, the number, though, I would have not really had.
Because I always heard a long time ago it was Don Quixote.
Well,
I don't know if that's true because you've got a lot of language. Yeah, but you've got a lot of Muslims. I mean, why wouldn't the Quran be up there or anything? But I always heard Don Quixote was number 2.
Maybe the Da Vinci Code.
Not number 2 of all time. You got to remember of all time.
Oh well, maybe
we're talking
it's another
about
religious
all time.
text.
Yeah. Look at him go. Look at him go on his phone. So do we have the number 2 book?
We do.
What is it?
Quotations from the works of Mao Zedong came in second with 820 million.
Yes.
And then you're never going to guess number 3.
I don't know.
The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss.
Harry Potter sold
400 You're kidding.
No,
400 million copies.
Yes.
The first Harry Potter book?
I should have guessed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, can I ask a trivia question?
Not to the last ones, though.
No, my turn. So, in England, the first Harry Potter book...
The Philosopher's Stone. Come on, challenge me, sir. Please.
I was trying to be smart there.
Shepard,
I answered it before you asked it.
Most popular genre of book?
Gay Asian disco.
That's number 4.
Oh, number 4. Okay.
Kelly, do you know what the number one
hang on. Most popular genre of book, I would have to say.
Well, women read more than men, so I'm going to say romance.
Yeah, it is romance.
Yeah.
I was going to say romance.
I think I did on that quiz.
But she interrupted me. She interrupted me. I was going to say romance. I promise you.
You already gave your first answer. Joke or
that's
no, you answered.
No,
That's
you both did great. Both of you got the question about the oldest library in the world wrong. Neither of you knew how
I
many
got all
libraries there
four
were in the
of
country.
those. I got all four of those.
Nobody knew how many books in the Library of Congress.
Yeah,
Nobody
I didn't
knew
know that.
how many copies of the Bible had been sold, but you did know the most popular genre. So
Yeah, but I was too
I got
focused.
all four countries for the most
that is
libraries.
true. You did, yeah.
I was too focused on
Yeah.
the little book of secrets in the Library of Congress that Nicolas
I
Cage
should have gotten that
finds.
Harry Potter question though, for sure. Well, that wasn't really a question though.
I
That was a
can't believe that's
sub-question.
number 3.
Yeah, number
that's
3.
crazy.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to let you take this topic because we've gone I don't know how long now into this podcast, and you still haven't used the phrase "in the age of COVID." So
That is true.
So I know you've got some
That-
questions
that-
to ask about COVID.
That is my deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So
COVID has changed libraries. Yes, that's true.
is this my softball approach?
Yeah.
So Kelly, in the age of COVID,
Yes.
how has that changed the public library?
It has turned us on end, I would say. We closed our doors to public visitors in the middle of March. However, we remained open with our drive-through windows, so we never shut down. We were always available and able to serve people.
How
through
does
our
the
drive-thru.
drive-through window work at a library?
The drive-through window is just like a pickup location. So when you place a hold at the library, you can choose to pick it up at the library, or you can choose to pick it up at the pickup window.
So you got to kind of pre-register for that,
You
then,
do,
right?
but we're
you can't
sweet.
show up to the drive-through window and say, you know
No.
what, I'm thinking about a book on this. Can you help me find it and spend 30 minutes in the drive-through?
So what we do when someone does that is we ask them if they would please just pull over and park and phone a librarian, and then the librarian can go pull what they need and,
And
then
so
get
this
it ready
is
for them at the
typically like a 75 to 80-year-old man in a Prius that
It can be.
is confused.
window. It can be, or it can be a mom with 3
900
kids
kids in
yeah.
their minivan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's going to change the way libraries operate in the future? Is there anything which come out of this?
Yes, actually. So when my library last year offered 880 public programs in 1 year. So we do a lot of programming. And when we were not able to do any of that programming in person, we had to find ways to do it either online, through a virtual platform, outside, or in a takeaway format. So I can see a lot of our formats changing, maybe like schools have, and we may have more online options. We may also have more hybrid programs. We've been doing our book clubs virtually, and I can see maybe us meeting in a room in person, but also having people come in through Zoom to join if they're
Sure.
not able to come to the building.
Yeah.
So, and it also, I think, has really challenged librarians to be more creative and deliver things in new ways. I started a YouTube channel during COVID for the library, and we were able to deliver our story times and our yoga story times online. And then we do a lot of takeaway programming where we put together kits that you pick up, and then they have links to the instructional videos to help you sort of complete the craft or the project or the learning activity or whatever that might be.
So one of the questions that one of our listeners put in was, why doesn't the public library turn into almost like a warehouse, like an Amazon or the old school Netflix, where you have a queue and you say, here's the books I want to check out. Send me this book through the mail. When I'm done, I'm going to put it back in my return envelope, ship it back to the library, and send me the next book.
We do have some services that sort of resemble that. The one I can think of right now is the Texas Talking Books program for people with visual impairment. They are mailed the types of books that they like on a pre-recorded device that's sort of easy to use if you don't have sight or if you have limited sight. And then they mail them back, and then they get new ones. We do things that are kind of similar. We do curated like book bundles or book boxes where you fill out a Google form about your interests, and then we recommend certain
like
books
the
and package
Stitch
them together.
Fix, where
Yeah.
I don't know how to dress myself,
Exactly.
so send me clothes.
I don't know what I want to read, but these are books that I've liked,
Right.
and we can package something similar together.
Now,
Have it waiting for you.
Now, the reason I asked that question in how do you think it will change libraries in the future is because in a lot of industries, after they've been shut down or limited opportunities to use them for so long, that people have got used to the new way of doing things. Just like, more people have said during questionnaires that they're going to be ordering delivery far more in the future than they used to actually go out to restaurants, and the same thing with the home meal delivery services. A ton more of those have popped up and have become very, very popular.
Right.
And I wondered if some people kind of realized or made that, the ones who were on the cusp made that switch from, you know what, I can do without books. I can just purely move to ebooks or,
Well, they can still use the library for ebooks. And I will say that our digital circulation, the number of digital visits we've had has tripled since COVID. So we're still going to be good for that. But we've also got some new users who were stuck at home and didn't have access to so many things to entertain them, and they've started using the library as a result of that.
These are people without the internet.
No, but they're not using us for the internet. But you can check out the internet from the library. I forgot to mention that. We have hotspot devices that you can just check out the internet and connect 5 different devices.
I meant that question kind of tongue-in-cheek because if I was looking for a book online and I didn't really have an exact idea of what I wanted, I probably wouldn't look for very long. But if I go in like Barnes and Noble or somewhere, I can spend like an hour or longer, looking around because I see books I wouldn't normally see that wouldn't come in front of my face. And, I can spend a long time in there. And so when I said, people without internet, it's because, even though we have the internet, it's never like I make a search for books unless it's a specific book. Yeah, I go into Barnes and Noble.
There's no browsing for books.
And I wish I had like $2,000 to spend on books.
Some of our platforms are kind of set up for browsing.
Yeah.
They're pretty attractive, and you see the photo of the cover,
Yeah.
and there's a little blurb about it. So there's I think some attention being paid to making the virtual platform more browsable.
Yeah.
So maybe that's happening, but yeah, and that's part of the reason we stopped doing Dewey, because this bookstore organization and the physical layout of our shelves resembles a bookstore, which encourages browsing and lots of front-faced books for display. I think that we'll be like businesses in the sense that we're modifying our service model to kind of meet people where they are. And I think that I don't think we're going to lose users.
Now, does the whole library smell of disinfectant at the moment? Do you have to do it 3-4 times a day? Just go around
She's
spraying?
going to kill me. We have someone who works at our office, one of our office administrators. We call her Lysol Liz because she just has the Lysol, and she just, it does smell like Lysol a lot.
And do you have to wear a mask all the time?
Yeah, we do have to wear a mask in the public sector of the building, and that's by executive order of the governor.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Now, you did a tread on this a little bit in terms of why libraries don't use that model of mailing out books like, Netflix and Blockbuster used to do with DVDs and games.
Right.
And given, that library has moved to this fine-free environment, is there any reason that you can think of why that wouldn't maybe be a good idea?
Well, sure. There's probably disadvantages to any service model that you adopt, but it could potentially increase the wait time for popular books.
Right.
But we've kind of found that it really hasn't. I think that borrowers are more courteous than people may assume that they would be.
Right.
We have, really expensive items that we check out. We check out American Girl dolls. Those are like $150 dolls.
Wow.
And the people treat them with a great deal of respect. I mean, it's not to say that we don't occasionally have, damage and loss or just wear from use. But most people are really respectful, and most people offer to pay for things that they damage or lose, and then we replace it. But if you still look at it as, cost per use, it's a really good return on investment on your tax dollar.
I think if my son borrowed one of those dolls, it would come back looking like Chucky or something.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to loan me anything. I think I've already broke like 3 things during this podcast, and they're things we own. So, Kelly, if you were going to tell somebody that, let's say, didn't have kids,
we have stuff for you too.
You don't have kids, but you're paying your taxes in the city for this public library, and then you have these elections that come up for the library bonds or whatever, and most people think, oh, it's just this place full of books or whatever. If you could have your platform, which you have right now, and explain to somebody why the public library in a municipality is important, what would you say?
I would say that libraries have the power to increase the quality of life in a community. We provide language and literacy training. We have job skills classes. We support the independent school district, which even if you don't have kids, your property values can be affected by how good the school district in your area is. And the library is really, our brand at the Keller Library, our tagline is that we have something for everyone. And we really do. And if we don't have something for you, then we are truly interested in acquiring it. We want to know what it is that you would like to see in your library, and we want to get that for you.
Right. So you're open to input.
All the time. We love input from our community.
Do you find that there's...
Unless it's to put beer and stuff. Sorry.
See, I was so close. I was so close there, but
not any
but
of course we can't meet every need.
Right, but do you find that there's a lack of input?
I think that marketing is our biggest challenge because so many people just really don't know all of the amazing things that we have to offer. And, in some sense, our competitors are Google and Amazon and Netflix and all of these other high-tech companies. But, what I think is important to remember is that those companies, they're invested in making a profit.
Sure.
And maybe using your information in the way that a public library isn't. So they have, invested millions of marketing dollars into so many different media outlets, and it's hard to compete with those, especially in a community that's really connected to the internet, like our community is. I think we have 97% connectivity in Keller.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good. And having a good library just makes it even better. Makes your community even better.
No, I just actually thought of this question. In this kind of
major thing.
Time of cancel culture.
Yes.
Have you had any books which you've instructed that either you have to remove or
That's
that you have to put a sticker on there to say warning, this was written when people were really racist and quite mean and stuff. And
that is an excellent
the cat
question.
in the hat.
Yeah,
the cat in the hat.
So the American Library Association, which is the professional organization that most librarians belong to and sort of kind of sets the standard for our profession.
Yeah.
We have a lot of information in our code of ethics about what censorship means, and labeling something or discarding something because of an author's religion, political beliefs, or anything, race, a sexual orientation, is considered an ethical violation of that code.
Or the fact they were born in England.
Yes. And so while we have collection development policies and deselection policies that guide our decisions, we try our very best not to let our personal beliefs or opinions about subject matter or people involved with a work affect those decisions. Yeah, we're supposed to make the decisions based solely on our selection criteria, which include things like, is it valuable to our culture? Is it recent? Is it current? Is it accurate? Things like that.
Now, are you concerned that will get worse as time goes on, that more and more stuff will be either taken out of circulation, or you'll have to keep putting these stickers that, you know, the science in this book is unproven, you know, please take it face value, this is just the research?
Well, with things like science, so we have specific criteria in our policy that says science books that are older than 5 years we should not keep as our institution. Now, if we were like a university library, it might be useful for people to be able to research the historical development of certain scientific concepts. But like as a public library where people are going to get general science information, we make a point that our information is current information.
But I mean, obviously that doesn't pertain to something like social sciences, something like philosophy or something like that.
Yeah, and we don't label anything.
But what about something like geology or archaeology like that? I mean, obviously those things don't necessarily go out of date because a lot of those...
Yeah, we have different criteria for different subjects.
Right, okay. Now, I did read, I think a couple of weeks ago, that they were looking to come up with an algorithm that would search all of the online books for things which I guess need to be cancelled or struck out of books, and actually for a lot of the electronic versions of those books, they were actually going to remove that content.
Who's they?
Whoever is doing this research into, well, I mean, like, you know, you have on like social media all the fact checkers, supposedly independent but never independent, that there is just this, I guess, assumption that if people ill-informed from an early age, they tend to carry that on and look for the confirmation bias through their life, or develop cognitive dissonance if somebody corrects them on that thing that they've known. And so it's a lot harder to re-educate somebody to the truth because they stick with that kind of idea. So they're looking to get, especially with children using more ebooks and stuff, that they actually, you know, rather than completely getting rid of the actual book, rewrite parts of that book or put in those notes that this was a different time.
I could say that as far as my experience goes, I cannot see any information professional advocating that practice at all. Our commitment, first and foremost, is access to information, and we try not to limit anyone's access in any way, because the freedom to read statement that was written by the American Library Association in the Library Bill of Rights states that everyone has the right to access the information they want to access. And I think that most librarians work really hard to make sure that people get the information they would like to have.
But you'd figure that would also spread to, I guess, the definition of media, whether it be movie or, you know, songs. And I mean, you know, you take Baby It's Cold Outside being banned from radio play, but then immediately followed by Cardi B's, you know, WAP. And it's like, you know, which one's more harmful? I mean, nobody's going to listen to Baby It's Cold Outside and go out on a raping spree. But somebody somewhere decided, almost unilaterally, I'm sure, because I doubt they had too many people writing in saying, oh, this song, which is however many decades old, you know, is...
Well, maybe they hated Will Ferrell.
Well, I might be, but I'm
sure
that
from the movie Elf.
Sure
I mean,
they
did. Elf, they did sing that. So I have a question.
Yes.
Not the current Librarian of Congress, but who was the Librarian of Congress before the current one?
I don't know.
Do you know?
No.
Oh.
Was it a woman, though?
No, it wasn't a woman.
No.
James Billington.
Oh.
Are you related to this person?
Here come the Billingtons again. Yeah. You know, we killed the first person in America, and then we ran the biggest library.
Well, no, he was the first murderer. He didn't kill the first person in America.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But he was the first guy that got caught. And you know, that sounds pretty much like my family.
True crime 364.1523.
Oh, look at her go. Yeah. Look at her go.
Yeah. But that's my favorite subject.
My father was in D.C. and met James Billington, Library of Congress, years ago when he was up there on a FAA trip. My father worked for the government. and got to sit down with James Billington, Library of Congress. And of course, James Billington's like, I don't get to see that many Billingtons that much. And told me a story about James Billington sitting down with the Queen of England. And the Queen of England had dinner with James Billington and some Billingtons from over in England. And the Queen said, I never thought I would have two Billingtons at the same table. I'm a little bit scared. And it pretty much explains my family. So, that's my library story. But I think James died, I don't know, a couple of years ago or whatever. But he was a librarian of Congress for years.
When I was in high school, that was my career goal. I wanted to be the first female librarian of Congress.
So how...
I didn't make it.
Yeah, but how big of a deal is that? I mean, I don't even know... Why is it such a big deal to be the librarian of Congress?
It's like the top librarian in the country.
So it's a little bit better than the woman in Ghostbusters that gets scared.
I don't... Oh. Yeah, it's a lot better than that.
Okay.
Remember, 170 million books.
Yeah,
that's a lot of books.
That's a lot of books
to be
take
in charge
care
of.
Yeah.
Now, I have one final question, actually.
Okay.
Do you think that many small libraries with local government cuts will close over the next 5-10 years?
I really hope not.
Or do you think they'll always be funded and seen as a priority to educate the community? Or are they going to be like, you know what? We don't need to be spending money on this. People can go online, they can download a book. We don't need to have a physical building. And maybe some libraries might literally switch to purely online.
Funding is always a concern for public libraries. And unfortunately, libraries and recreation departments are often the first to see the cuts when the cuts happen.
That's
but
sad.
It is. And honestly, I think in Keller, I think that if you do the math about the library budget and the number of households, it comes out to about $40 per year per house. And I think that we really give people a great return on that investment.
Sure.
That's 2
That's
books.
No, that's extremely cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, we may waste more money at $40 a household a year that is much better than what the library can offer.
Are not very expensive to run. They often have the smaller budgets in city government departments. And I think that they are a great value for very little investment. So I sure hope that's not the case.
Is part of the problem, though, that the library's not a revenue gathering stream? So it's easy to put at the bottom of the spreadsheet and say, you know what, they're not bringing in a bunch of money. So
we don't bring in any money. Really.
Exactly. So they're always at the bottom of the spreadsheet of saying, here's our expenses, here's our income. Libraries down here, 0 income, lots of expenses, and we got to cut something.
Fortunately, they aren't very expensive to run. So a lot of times people will recognize that and say, it's, if you compare it to, for instance, how much it costs to run a fire department or a police department, I mean, with the vehicles and the salaries involved with that, I mean, that's just 100 times more expensive to run that.
Sure.
So I think a lot of city councils and a lot of government officials realize that for very little investment, they can get a really big return. So I haven't seen many libraries close. I have seen some limited services and some furlough of employees, but I do hope that that doesn't become common practice.
No, we don't either. I mean, we walked into this saying, why do we need public libraries? We have iPhones. We have access to all this information. And now I learned all this stuff I can get from a library that I didn't know about. But
what's important to add to that is you also have an information professional who can help you find information that meets like really specific criteria.
Right.
Because the library does purchase a lot of stuff that you can't get on the internet. So like scholarly publications, access to online periodicals that aren't free on the internet.
Well, it's the same argument with WebMD. There's a reason you go to the doctor, because you don't just put your symptoms into WebMD and say, I'm coughing and my toe hurts. Oh, I have pancreatic cancer. I'm going to die tomorrow. Because that's what most people do.
I always use WebMD.
Well, I know. And that's why you're dying of pancreatic cancer. So, Kelly, if you were the Librarian of Congress and Congress brings you up right now and says, you know what, Kelly, we need you to tell us what we have to do to get libraries more in the public eye, everybody understanding all these new things that libraries do, and you have 1 minute, what would you say?
The first thing that I think I would probably do is I would start issuing library cards at birth. Just give them a library card as soon as they're born and get them into the library ASAP. Because that's kind of where we develop and like get lifelong users, is the kids that sort of grow up at the library, because it becomes part of the habit, and then they see as they mature and they get a little older, like all of the different things the library can have to offer them. So that would be the first order of business: library card at birth.
I'm pretty sure they could do that with that chip, which is going to be in the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
I remember going to the old Keller Public Library.
On Taylor Street?
Yep, on Taylor Street. And I'm pretty sure, knowing my mom, she has my original library card that had
the
this
orange
little,
one with the
little metal
chip?
plate and
Yeah.
everything. Oh, yeah, I had that. It was important, and I remember that was an important trip. It was... about every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You walk
21 day
around
loan,
there.
that's what it is.
And walk around and
did you know that building is a bookstore now for the Friends of the Keller Library?
I did not know that.
All of our old books that we don't have room for anymore, that we've gotten rid of, or donations that we can't use in our collection, they go there and they sell them for, a pretty good deal. And then all of that money comes back to the library to fund special projects.
Okay, so that's something to just kind of enter my mind. So let's say you've got somebody that's an avid reader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got all these books in their house, and they've watched too many of those shows where, they say, hey, you got to clean out your house, and now they've got all these books.
They're going to Marie Kondo everything.
Yeah, there it is, Marie Kondo. Yeah, I couldn't think of her name. Thank you for that. See, this is why you need a librarian, because you can't remember all this stuff,
handy.
right? Exactly. So I remember taking a big box of books to Half Price Books, and they're like, it's worse than GameStop. It's like, oh, there's 200 books here, we'll give you $17. I'm like, you know what? No, I'd rather donate those. So as a librarian, if you got a bunch of books laying around that you've already read, you're not going to read again, maybe, it's a bunch of children's books and your kids are older, what do you do with books that you got laying around the house?
Well, unfortunately, we are at a stage, and a lot of libraries are, where we don't have a lot of shelf space available. So, a lot of times we can't use books that people donate. Of course, if the books that they're donating are in really good condition and they're fairly current, we could use those. But if they're older, or if they're worn or kind of slightly damaged, they may look for organizations like local Friends of the Library organizations. There are also recycling organizations, and Half Price Books is an option too. But if you have something that's newer and in good shape, you could check with your library about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, you have anything else over there speaking the Queen's English and,
No, I didn't know.
Are you going to come to the library now?
Well, actually, now you've got so much stuff in there, I think I might actually take a visit and look around just out of curiosity.
I haven't been to the Keller Library in so long.
Well, I personally invite you to visit the Keller Library.
I would love to come. So as we wrap up, tell us about the hours of the Keller Library, how to find you on social media, how to find the Keller Library on social media, all that good stuff.
So the Keller Library is open 7 days per week. We're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and on the weekends we're open from 12 to 5. We have a drive-through window. If you call ahead and you want your books held for you at the drive-in window, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can just drive up. But all of this great resource information is available on the Keller Library's website, which is www.cityofkeller.com/library. We're also on Facebook and Twitter and Insta and all those things. And YouTube. If you just type in Keller Public Library, you'll be able to find us. We're not the one in Dexter, Missouri. There's one in Dexter, Missouri. That's not us.
Wow.
We're the one in Keller, Texas.
Yeah.
So occasionally we do get phone calls about some programs that are happening in Missouri that we can't help people with, but
So you're not on TikTok then?
we are not on TikTok.
Good for you.
I thought you'd be dancing in the dinosaur uniform on TikTok. I thought
Yes.
that's why you might have it, like a YouTube channel for the kids.
haven't figured out
TikTok
TikTok
channel for
yet.
the kids. Me neither. I can't get with it.
I can't either.
Just like Instagram Reels, I can't get with that.
Yeah. Let's be honest. I've seen your secret channel where you're doing the dances on Instagram Reels, but I'm not supposed to say that. I'm sorry about that. So thank you for joining us for this episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd, and we'll see you next time.